Hello again, my fellow Jeti users. Welcome back to my workshop. And in this video, we're going to deal with a request from Knut, who flies gliders in competitions. And Knut asks, can we program a timer that starts when he opens the throttle and will keep running when he closes the throttle until either he switches the transmitter off or when he closes the air brakes after he's landed, that would stop the timer? Well, of course, yes, we can. And rather than just show you a quick button press, I will extend it just a little bit to explain how to get to the solutions. Let's go straight to timers. Oh, and by the way, Knut uses a 3-position switch for the throttle, and the spoilers air brakes are on P4, so that's what I've done. But you could happily use this if you've got throttle on P4 and brakes on P6, or whatever. You'll get the idea. So we have a look in our timers, press plus, edit. Okay, we'll just give it a quick label so we can find it again if when we need to. T is the timer. Because it's a count up timer, there's no initial value or target value. What you want is the timer type. Now, you might at first have thought, aha, we choose a free running timer because he said he wanted it to carry on when he closed the throttle. And a free running timer means, if we change that to free running, means that once it's started, it does not stop until you switch the transmitter off. And that would zero it and when next time you switch on, if you have that kind of reset going. But we can't use that this time, because remember, Knut wants to be able to stop it when he closes the air brakes, or if he closes the air brakes. And that requires happening at the end of a flight. I don't know why the view is shifting around like that. Hopefully that's stabilized it. And I pointed out to Knut that if he uses the air brakes at any time in the flight and closes them, it would stop his timer. And he says, no, as long as he knows that he can only do it the once in the flight, that's fine. So we can't use free running because there's just no way of stopping it. So we need a standard timer. Okay, we'll happily take that. And the switch, well, we're going to use a logical switch. It'll be logic switch 1 because I haven't got any other logic switches in this. So I'll just go straight to doing it, even though I haven't programmed logic switch 1 yet. There we are. So that'll be our switch for it. Let's go to logic switches. Into logic switch 1. Call that T as well. Okay, to that, and enable it. Now then, here's the thing. We want the throttle to switch the timer on and closing the brakes to switch the timer off. So condition A would switch it on and condition B would switch it off. How will we do that? Well, if you think about it, Jeti conveniently provides us with a logical switch called A on, B off. Come down here and have a look at it. There we are. So condition A will switch the logic switch output on, and condition B happening will switch it off. And very conveniently, condition B being in place will not switch the output of the switch off. It's the transition from condition B being off to on that switches the switch off. In other words, if condition B is closing the air brakes, just because the air brakes are closed all the way through the flight will not stop the timer. It's the transition from the brakes being open to the brakes being closed that will stop the timer. And that's how the A on B off switch works. So let's go up. Control 1 is going to be the throttle. I've got it on a 3-position switch. I'll switch it to the throttle off position. Open that, ping that. There, that's enough. I've gone to the mid switch position. That will be enough to trigger the logic switch A condition on, so the output goes on, so the timer will start running. We come down to Control 2, which is our brakes. In this case, it's the P4 stick all the way forward. So we'll come back a little bit there, and we need it to be proportional so that, there, that kind. I'll put the stick most of the way forward to represent the brakes almost closed. Press this button here. That gives you the switch on point wherever you actually were. Does forward give it on? Backward gives it off? Yes, that's good. So say OK to that. So now, I'll switch that off. So Control 1 is the throttle switch. I'll switch it on and the output should come on. There we are. And now, doesn't matter what I do with the throttle, the output stays on, so the timer will be on and running. So throttle's off, but the timer's still going to be running because the output of this is on, even though the brakes are closed. What I have to do is open the brakes, and now at the point where I close the brakes, it triggers and goes off. So it's that transition that matters. So we say OK to that. Let's go and have a look at our timer. Clear it. OK, I'll switch the throttle on and the timer should start. Now I'll try all three positions of the throttle switch. Has no effect. The timer is running. So mid-throttle, full throttle, mid-throttle, throttle off, the timer keeps running. Even though the brakes are in the closed position. I'll open the brakes, timer keeps running. I'll close the brakes, timer stops. You can actually kick it off again because of course we've got the A on, B off. So now that B has triggered, the logic switch looks for condition A. So if I switch the throttle to mid again, off it goes, throttle off. I can open the brakes, close the brakes. So it's a mainly use for a one-off situation of opening and closing the brakes during the flight, but if you did happen to open and close them again before landing, you could always just very quickly blip over the throttle and it would kick the timer back into life and keep going.